¿Listo, Fer?
Sí, ya estamos en Facebook Live y grabando.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for being with us today. We are very pleased to have you in this series of sessions for the Opportunity Program. Please remain muted and with your video off. If you have any question, please type it on the chat box addressed to Q&A Education USA. And remember that all of our sessions will be recorded and they will be available on our YouTube channel for your reference. Today's topic is TOEFL iBT. This test is a requirement at the US universities, not at all of the universities, but most of them. So our colleague Luis Fernandez will give us some tips to improve our score. But first of all, I would like to talk very shortly about what is Education USA. Education USA is a global network of advising centers from the US State Department's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. Here in Mexico, we have 26 advising centers with 18 advisors. My colleague Jenny will send you the official site to Education USA in case you wanna look for your closest advisor. There in that official site is where you can find the closest advisor. And Education USA, our target is to advise students to help higher education institutions in the United States to recruit potential students and governments in our cities and countries and NGOs. The way Education USA advise possible students or works is through 5 steps. The number 1 is to research your options. You have to think about many aspects like the city, the state, the size of the university, what is the program that you are interested in. Number 2 is finance your studies. We help you by providing information about possible scholarships either here in Mexico or in the United States, like CONACYT here or Fulbright. Number 3 is complete your application. Here we help you by looking at your essays and giving you feedback. Number 4 is applying for your visa. At this step, you are already accepted at a university. So here we'll help you with having everything that you need, all the requirements and documents. And number 5 is pre-departure, prepare for your departure. Please welcome our colleague, Luis Fernandez. He's the advisor of Education USA in Tlaxcala. Luis, thank you very much for being with us today. Please let me know when you want me to go to the next slide.
Thank you. And thank you very much to the PDO, to the opportunity team that made the invitation for me to be here today. Thank you very much, guys. So before we start, I would like to ask everybody, if you can write in the chat, what do you think are your weaknesses in the TOEFL? What are your weaknesses, or what do you think what areas do you think you have difficulties with? So if in the chat, you can write what you think are your weaknesses. I'm going to give you 1 minute so you can write them. Okay, Henriette says reading. Excellent, thank you very much. Somebody else? Writing, okay, reading, okay, speaking, okay, that's a different one. Okay, well, I'll let you guys continue writing what you think are your weaknesses, okay? So in this case, I separated them in 3 parts, okay? And why is it necessary to work on our weaknesses, not on our strengths, because our weaknesses are things that we might have difficulties with. So in this case, we might have a weakness in content, or we might have a weakness in format. We might have a weakness in strategy. So let me just briefly explain what is the difference between the three. Weakness in content, this means you're struggling to understand specific concepts and topics. For example, if you struggle with the vocabulary and grammar, drilling more vocabulary words and grammar patterns should eventually help you raise your TOEFL score. So this is very important, yes? So that is very important. Why? Because like that, you know where your weakness is. And the next one is the format. These weaknesses deal with structural elements of the TOEFL, mainly question types. For example, if you're constantly getting reading to learn questions wrong, you'll need to tailor your study plan so that you're practicing these question types more often than others. Strategy weakness. A strategy weakness means you're having trouble with a particular approach or test-taking method. For example, you might struggle with pacing yourself on the reading section, or you might not know how to take notes effectively on listening. So these are the three types of weaknesses that you might have. In this case, we were looking at reading, speaking, reading comprehension, grammar. So during this small talk, I'll be talking about certain things that you can do to improve those areas. Can I get the next one, Anna, please? Thank you. Okay, so in this case, if we're talking about vocabulary or also vocabulary, I would consider reading. So what do I recommend that you do in this case for vocabulary? Well, developing solid TOEFL vocabulary skill can be one of the most challenging parts of studying for the exam, but also one of the most important. So many of the questions that you might have, especially in the reading section, is about vocabulary. But you also need to understand the different types of vocabulary that is used in the TOEFL exam. So what is something that I recommend that you do? I recommend that you, just give me 1 minute. I recommend that you do flashcards. Yes, as you see here, I have a very simple flashcard. In the front of the flashcard, I have the word, in this case, abundant. And in the back of the flashcard, I put the definition and I put a small example. Now, where can you find this vocabulary? Here in this slide, I have Prep Scholar vocabulary list. There are approximately 300 or 320 words in that list. Are they all of the words? No, but this is a very good starting point where you can start by looking at the vocabulary. But how else are you going to increase your vocabulary? By reading. So the more the reading that you do, the better your vocabulary is going to get, yes? But it's not only to make the flashcard and say, oh, I have my flashcard, now I'm ready. No, 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 no. You need to make your flashcard. You need to understand what the word it means, and you need to see the sentence. But when you make your sentence, try to make the sentence in a way that you are going to understand it. So these are the things that are going to help you. And don't just leave your flashcards around in your house, but use them. I mean, say, for example, today, I want to learn 5 words. Okay, good. Or maybe you say, no, 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 no. I'm going to challenge myself and I'm going to learn 15 words today. So the more, the better. So thank you very much. Anna, can we go to the next one, please? Thank you. And Jenny already shared with you the link of Prep Scholar. Okay. Now, the other tip that I have for you guys is process of elimination. Okay. Here's how the process works. Instead of looking for the correct answer choice, you'll look for the wrong answer choice. The more incorrect choices you can eliminate, the higher chance you'll have of selecting the correct answer. And it's not eeny, meeny, miny, mo. No, 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 no. This doesn't mean eeny, meeny, miny, mo. You're going to eliminate the incorrect answers, but according to what you already know. Okay, it doesn't mean that you're going to say, oh, this one doesn't look good, so that's it. No, 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 no. I mean, it's according to what you know and what you have practiced. So wrong answer choices can be tough to find out, to find, but usually state the opposite of the passage or audio clip. Refer to something not discussed in the passage or audio clip, and mention something irrelevant to the passage or audio clip. And another thing that I would like to add here is try to focus on the things that they're saying if it's the audio, but just be careful that you're listening to the correct words, because sometimes we might confuse what they say and what is in the on the exam. So you might listen to something, and when you look at the exam, you say, "Oh, this is the one." So just make sure that whatever you're listening to is on the exam. Okay, thank you. Anna, can we go to the next one, please? Okay, now this is a very important part of the exam, taking notes. And I've separated it in 3 sections: listening, speaking, and writing. So in the listening section, always write as you listen to the audio clips, keeping track of the main ideas, key concepts and terms, and who says what. Note any solutions or decisions made as well. So this is very important, okay? And just be brief. Don't try to write the whole sentence. Just write key words. This is very important, especially for this exam, because you don't have a lot of time. So just write key words of the sentence or the main idea or the ideas that you think are going to be relevant to the answers. In speaking, on the integrated tasks, take notes as you read the passages and listen to the audio clips. For each speaking task, briefly outline the 2 or 3 main points you'll discuss in your response. And this is very important. When you're doing the speaking, and later on, I'm going to give you other tips on the speaking part, try to write what you think are the most important points. And then from there, you're going to take those points and try to use them to your answer when you're speaking. And in the writing, for the integrated writing task, take notes as you listen to the audio clip. For both writing tasks, spend the first few minutes outlining your thoughts so that you'll have a rough idea as how to organize your paragraphs, key points, and examples. This is very important, yes? Later on, I'm going to show you some ideas and also some pages that you can use for the writing section and also for the speaking section. So just be patient, please. The next one, Anna, please. Okay, so now, what is one of the things that I recommend that I see that some of you wrote that reading is one of the parts that you think is your weakness? So what do I recommend that you do? Well, to read, like I said before. Here are some links that I'm going to share with you: the New York Times, the Atlantic, the Economist, Discover, and Nature. So the more that you read, what are you going to be doing or achieving while you're reading? 1, increasing your vocabulary. 2, also recognizing how sentences should be structured. And 3, you're going to try to decipher the main idea of the article. Yes, and what is the idea the author is trying to state in the article. And also you can get some ideas when you're doing your essay section to get some ideas of how to write correctly or how to start the writing section, in this case the essay. So basically here in read complex text, what I recommend is that you start reading a little bit more difficult articles, and especially if the articles are related to academic areas. Yes, that's something that I recommend. And these are just some of the pages that I recommend. If you know of any others, please share. That's what I enjoy, when people are sharing this type of information. Can we continue with the next one, please? Thank you. Now, how to read the exam. As far as I know, most of you are already taking a course on the TOEFL exam. So here are some things that I recommend that you do. Read the entire passage first, but remember that you have a certain amount of time for each section, okay? So if you're a slow reader, try to improve that area, yes? Read a little bit faster. get a magazine or look for an article on the internet, and take your time. No, literally take your time. So start reading and click start and see how long it's going to take you to read, and see what you can do to improve this part. Yes. So read the entire passage. That's the first thing that you can do. Or skim the passage and then answer the questions. What is skimming? Basically finding main ideas or specific words that are going to help you with the answers. Answer the questions paragraph by paragraph. Okay. And the last one, read the questions first. Now, if you do, now it all depends on what technique is going to be better for you. Okay. Because you might say to me, well, I prefer read the question first. Okay. Uh, that's good. Or you might say answer the questions paragraph by paragraph. That's good also. Skim the passage and then answer the questions. That's also good to you. But what does it depend on? Well, however you feel more comfortable. Yes. If you feel more comfortable first reading all of the passage and then answering the questions, or if first you want to read the questions and then and then read the article also. But just remember that you have time. Yes. Um, Now, the trick here is in the reading section, all questions can be answered using specific evidence in the passage. In other words, all of the information you need to answer a reading question is directly given to you in the passage. You just have to find it. For example, if a question asks about a specific paragraph, then the answer will be in that paragraph. You don't need to waste time checking other parts of the passage. So if the question says, according to paragraph 3, what is the meaning of this word? So you don't need to read the whole thing. You just go directly to that paragraph. Here, what are you doing? You're saving time, and then you're looking for a specific answer to one of the questions. So that is something that you can do. Or you can read the whole thing, and then when you're reading the question, you say, oh, okay, I remember this answer, and then you can just answer. Like I said before, it all depends on you. What is the best way for you to read and the best way to understand what you're reading? Yes. And this is another tip that you can do, because somebody wrote reading comprehension. Okay. When you're reading anything, it could be a small article, it could be a big article, it could be a book. Ask yourself, what's going on in this article, or what's going on in this book? What did this character mean, or what is he doing, or what is he going to do? So start asking you these questions, no, to yourself. And then when you're doing the exam, you can start also asking these types of questions. Just remember that you have time. Yes. So it has to be a little bit fast. Okay. The next one, Anna, please. Thank you. Now, how to improve your listening? One great way to improve your listening skills is to watch English language news stations. This could be CNN or BBC. And now there's also a very big, wide variety of exercises that you can find on YouTube, and for free. Yes. So that's something that's very necessary now, especially if you're going to be presenting the TOEFL exam, and especially the listening section. Something else that you can do, and this is also going to help you with your speaking section, is to record your own voice, or to record your own self. Yes. So something that I recommend is to look for a question, and then try to answer that question, and then listen to yourself and see what you can do to improve this part. No, and also you're going to be listening to your own audio, and oh, okay, I could improve here, or I could improve there. So you're working also on your listening section. Yes. Now you might say, if CNN and BBC are too difficult for you, so what do I recommend? There's another page that is called VOA Learning English, and this one provides news audio clips at a slightly slower pace. Okay. Now you can also find on YouTube some audios that you can put the subtitles. So at the same time that you're listening, you can also be reading. So that's very, very nice to do. Yes. Or you can also look at BBC Learning English. That's another helpful resource that breaks down news stories into clear steps. So whichever one of these resources is better for you, start maybe with something easy and then work your way up. Or if you type in Google or any search engine, listening exercises, advanced or intermediate, I would recommend the advanced. You're going to get a bunch of links where you can listen to audios. And then at the end of the audio, most of these exercises have questions. Okay, so these are some of the resources that I recommend. Now, another way to hone your listening skills is to listen to English podcasts. Podcasts allowed you to hear how native speakers talk in English. So this is also very, very nice. And there's different types of podcasts that you can listen to, but because the TOEFL IBT is an academic exam, what I recommend is that you listen to academic audios or podcasts. And another thing that I would recommend also that we offer here at Education USA is our conversation clubs. Yes, join a conversation club, and there you're going to be working all of your abilities. Yes, different conversation clubs, reading clubs, writing clubs. So look for that information and then you can practice. And then also you can meet other people. Thank you very much, Anna. Can we continue with the next one? Thank you. Now, how to improve your speaking? Here in the TOEFL section of the speaking, you have to be very quick because you don't have a lot of time. Okay, so they're going to show you a question and you have to record yourself between 45 to 60 seconds. Okay, but you cannot do it this way. No, for example, what is your opinion about the problems in the world? No, just a very vague question. And you can't start by saying, well, I think, no. It has to be what they're trying to see in this section of the exam is how you're able to communicate, how fluent you are with your communication process. So what they want to see is that you're communicating through the whole thing, yes? And they want to start, they want you to talk about the topic, and then they want a conclusion. So all of these areas are going to be graded, okay? So like I said before, what can you do for this speaking section? Here I have added some of the pages that you can look at. It's called TOEFL speaking topics. And you can look at the topics and then read the question and record yourself on your cell phone or on your computer, whatever is better for you. And try to listen afterwards and try to see what can you improve in your speaking part. Yes. Now, here are some of the questions that I recommend that you take in consideration when you're answering the questions. Do you answer the prompt completely? Are you clear? Understand? Do you stumble over your words or pause too much? Or do you make many grammatical mistakes? So that is why I recommend that you record yourself on your cell phone and then later on listen to yourself and try to see which of these parts are you doing incorrectly. Yes, and then later on record yourself again with the same question and see what are the differences between the first time and the second time. The more that you do this, the better it's going to be for you. Or the other thing that you can do is that if you have the possibility to speak to somebody that speaks English, tell them to ask you any type of question, and then you are going to try to answer that as coherent as possible. No, so that's another exercise. And like I said, Education USA offers different clubs where you can practice these different types of abilities. Yes. Thank you very much, Anna. Can we continue with the next one, please? Now, how to improve your writing? In addition to keeping a journal, yes, a journal is a small little notebook. It could even be a piece of paper, whatever is easier for you. Write how it went that day, or maybe what something nice that happened to you, or something that you achieved, so you can write it and try to write it as completely as possible. So keeping a journal, practice time writing exercises, using high quality TOEFL writing prompts. In this case, I'm leaving you guys the link where you can also, they're going to have questions or essay questions where you have to write. And taking time, why? Because like the exam, most of the sections of the exam are timed. So if you take too long on one section, then you might not have enough time to finish it. So just make sure that you are being accurate with your time and that you're doing the exercises with time. So time yourself reading, time yourself speaking, time yourself writing. The more that you do it, the better it's going to be when you're answering the exam. Yes. Also, you can also use the 13 original writing topics. Doing this will help you get used to writing essays within short time frames. And this is very important, yes? On task 1, you'll have just 20 minutes to write a response of 150 to 225 words. On task 2, you'll have slightly more time, 30 minutes, to write a longer response of at least 300 words. You might say, aye, but 150 words to 225, that's a little. But in an exam with your nerves like this, with the stress, with the time, it's going to look like a lot. No, so just practice. So the day of the exam, you're relaxed, you're confident. No, you already know this information, but sometimes, especially when people say exam, we get blocked and we say, "Oh, what am I going to do?" No, so just practice. The more practice that you do, it's better for you. Okay. And then as you practice, make sure you're timing yourself appropriately. You should also type your essays on a computer so that you're giving yourself a more realistic test taking experience. Once you finish, score your essays using the official TOEFL writing rubric or get a native English speaker to score them with you. Also, in the previous exercise of the speaking, I also added the speaking TOEFL rubric. So you can see how, what's a rubric? Basically, it's a little graph that is going to have points, like sometimes it has from 0 to 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, and then it has different descriptors. So for example, for a 5, you need these characteristics. For a 4, you need these characteristics. For a 3, 2, and all of that, no? So it depends of what they're going to be evaluating, that you might get a 5, or in the other sections, you might get a 4. So they add all of that up, and then you get a total score, yes? So it's good to do these types of exercises. It's also good to look at the rubrics. So like this, you know what they're looking for and what you're going to be graded on, okay? The next one, Anna. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much. I don't know if we have any questions. Do we have any questions?
Hello, Luis. Yes, we have some questions here.
Okay. Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jenny. I'm an Education USA advisor in Merida. Luis, I'm going to go ahead and go with the first question. What are the differences between TOEFL iBT and ITP?
Okay. iBT considers the 4 abilities, yes? So that's writing, speaking, listening, and reading. And the iBT only takes in consideration the three abilities. That's listening, grammar, or they call it written expression. And then the third part is the reading. Well, reading and vocabulary, but it only has in reality 3 sections. Basically, that's the difference, no? And the scoring is different. For example, the paper-based one, maximum you can get 670 points, somewhere around there. And maximum for the iBT is 120 points.
All right, thank you, Luis. We have another question. If I'm doing the TOEFL exam and the internet is off, do I need to pay again to do the exam?
That's a very good question. And this is a recommendation that I'll give everybody that's here. Make sure that your computer is connected directly to your modem. If you are using Wi-Fi, please, the day of the exam, try not to use Wi-Fi, because especially with the Wi-Fi, it gets slower. Your internet gets slower. So try to connect directly to the modem. As far as I know, they have some technical people when you have issues, and they'll help you, but to a certain point. If you're not able to, if the technical people are not able to resolve the issue, then they'll see if they can readjust the date of your exam.
All right, thank you, Luis. Here's another question. Are the articles and prepositions considered for the word count?
Yes, they are. But try not to use too many no, and things like that. And try to be very slight on the use of the prepositions. Remember that they're looking for academic writing. So it's not creative writing, it's very different. So try to be as academic as possible. Try to use connectors, try to use prepositional phrases, things like that, that are going to show your ability of communicating, and in this case, in the writing part. Yes?
All right. What do you think is the most important thing to improve writing skills?
I would recommend to first be on the creative side. Yes? And what does that mean? Basically, that you can look at the different topics that I gave you guys, and just write whatever you think is the answer. Just write. Give yourself maybe some time, no? Say, okay, I'm going to write without stopping for about a minute or two, no? And then write. Okay. Then once you finish writing, look at what you wrote, and then from there, take like the most important parts of what you wrote, and then write it again, but taking only the most important parts of what you wrote. But remember that we need an introduction, we need some body to that introduction, and then taking in consideration the introduction and the body, a conclusion, okay? So it has to be related in the three sections. It's not going to be, it's very different in the creative process, but because in the creative process, our ideas are all over the place, no? But in an essay, our ideas have to be concrete, and they have to be related one to another. Yes. And by the way, we have a few videos that talk about how to write an essay, and what are the things that you need to take in consideration when writing an essay on our Education USA YouTube page.
Yes, exactly. Stay tuned. All right, Luis. I have some more questions. Anna, do we still have time for questions?
We have plenty of time, Jenny.
Okay,
Go for it.
I'm gonna continue here with the questions. How much time is valid for the results of my test? Or how much time are the results of my test valid?
Okay. The TOEFL iBT, both, if it's the IPT or the iBT, only has, it's only valid for 2 years. After 2 years, you need to retake the exam. So it's only valid for 2 years.
Perfect. Can I take the TOEFL exam if I'm primarily learning British English?
Yes, but you just have to be careful with certain structures. What I recommend, if you are only learning British English, then just try to look at articles that come in American English, because most of the TOEFL exam is in American English. It's taken in consideration academics from the United States. So there, it might be a little bit difficult, especially in the listening part, because most of the pronunciation is in American English. And most of the writing is in American English, and the reading also. So just make sure to review different types of articles in American English to help you. But you shouldn't have a very big difficulty, no? I mean, there are certain changes with vocabulary, no? With certain words, and also with certain grammar points, but you shouldn't have a big problem.
Perfect. How many attempts do I have to pass the TOEFL?
Wow, that's a very good question. Attempts, I think you can do them as many as you can, yes? But just remember, there's two, well, maybe three things that you have to consider. One, that it's not a cheap exam, yes? As far as I know, there's not a lot of people that say, oh, sign me up for 5. No, 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 no. I mean, that's number one. So number one, you have to think of the cost, no? Number two, there are a certain time limits. Well, not time limits, but a limit of the times that you can take the exam in 1 year, okay? And then you also have to see what are the point requirements for the university that you are selecting, because from one university to another, it might be different. And also, if you're looking for a community college, the point system is lower. If you're looking for a bachelor's degree, the point system, depending on the universities, how much are the universities asking for right now? What I have seen is between 75 points all the way up to 90 points, but it depends. And now if we're talking about masters or something like that, then the point system changes because sometimes they ask for a little bit more. So how many times? It all depends on you. And also you would have to see specifically how many times you can take the exam during 1 year, okay? But the thing that I recommend, there are many pages online where you can make like a diagnostic exam. What's a diagnostic exam? It's like a pre-exam before the exam. So you can see like an unofficial result of your exam. So let's say that you need 75 points. And in this diagnostic exam, you only get 69 points. So you say, well, I'm not that bad. No, I still need like 6 or 7 more points so I can achieve the 75. So is it possible? Yes. But from 1 week to another? No. But if you have like about 3 or 4 months to study and prepare, I'm sure that you're able to get those 6 or 7 points more, or even more than that.
Awesome. What places do you recommend to take the TOEFL test?
If it's the iBT, all of the TOEFL iBT are online. There's no physical place where you take the exam. Also, like I said, when you're going to take that exam, connect your computer to the modem, because they're going to be asking you to record yourself. And then they also have a system where they're recording or supervising you taking the exam. Yes, and it's constant supervision. So you need to have an official ID. It could be a passport, or it could be the INE here in Mexico. And in different moments, they're going to be asking you to show the ID and also to show your face. And they're going to have a camera on you while you're doing the exam. And also that same program doesn't permit you to go search on other pages. Yes, so you have to be focused on the exam.
Perfect. And here's another one. I think this is similar to one they already asked, but what if the power goes off while I'm doing the exam?
Like I said before, well, in this case, it's a little bit different than the previous one. If the power goes off, try to log on again and to get technical support. So you can tell them if you can restart the exam, or if you can continue where you left off and the problem that you had. No, if it's power, then I think that they could be understanding. Also with internet connections. So just make sure that the day that you're going to take the exam, that your electricity is good, that your internet connection is good. And something that I've been forgetting to tell you guys, when you're taking the exam, make sure that it is in a space where you're going to be comfortable, that you're going to be relaxed, and that you're not going to be bothered for at least 2 to 3 hours. Yes. Try to sit down or try to find a chair that's comfortable, because you're going to be seated for quite a bit of time. No, so just make sure that you're comfortable, because the more comfortable that you are, that means that you're relaxed, and that if you're relaxed, that means that you're going to remember all of the information that you learned through your course, through your readings, through your speaking, through your activities that you did. So just try to be relaxed and try to say, I'm going to do the best that I can, and go for it.
Great. This is one question regarding the reading part specifically. And the question is, what do you recommend to do if I'm not sure in one of my answers?
Okay. Now, and this goes for any section of the exam. Remember that you have a certain amount of time. So If you're not certain about one answer, jump it, no, or skip it and go to the next one. And then answer. Try not to stay with one question like for 3 or 4 minutes, because then what are you doing? That you're reducing your time with the rest of the questions. So if you're not certain about that answer, continue with the questions, and then because you're going to have enough time, go back to that one and then try to see the information. Now, if it's a reading, if it's in the reading section, look at the question. If the question is saying, what is not found in the article, then it's something that it's not in the article. So look at your 4 options, no? And look, maybe option number 1, you read it very quickly and you say, oh, okay, this I find. Well, this one I'm not sure. This one, okay, I'm also finding, and this one I'm not sure. So you're doing a process of elimination. So now instead of having 4 different options, now you have 2. So look at the second or the first sentence or whatever sentence you were not sure of, and then go through the reading, looking for those keywords that you found in the sentence. If you're able to find the keyword and then the sentence is talking about that specific thing, then that one is one that you're not going to eliminate. So do things like that, no? Look at the words. If it's a vocabulary, like for example, in the reading section, they might have, what is the meaning of this word? So go look, and remember that it's according to the context. So it's not always the meaning of the word that we know. It's according to the context of the article that you're reading. So make sure that you read it. You know, many teachers say, read it in context. So like that, you're able to understand the meaning of the word. So read it and see what the meaning is according to what the context is of the reading. If it is a sentence, now the most difficult questions are, what was the main idea of the author? And you're going to say, oh, well, I need to call him, or I need to ask him personally. No, well, just try to read, again, skimming the whole article, and ask yourself, what is he trying to say? What is he trying to convey? No, what is he trying to say according to this article that I'm reading? And then look at the options, and then just select again, process of elimination, the best answer. Yes, those are to me, those are the most difficult questions, especially when they're asking about what is the idea that the author had of this article. It's like, hey, I don't even know him, no? So, but yeah.
Thank you, Luis. Very good tips. Here is another question. How do I
Sure.
know how many words? This is regarding the writing section. How do I know how many words I already wrote?
I think that when you're taking the iBT, it's all in the computer. And then when you're writing, there's a little counter, like, you know, in the Word, when you put in the Word format and you're writing, and then on the bottom, it's going to tell you how many words you already have in that writing. I'm sorry, in that essay. So in the count of the exam, it's going to tell you how many words you have. Yes. If it doesn't tell you, then basically you have to count them word by word. Okay. But now, if the exam says between 155 to 235 words, it doesn't mean that you should only write 154. If you only write 154 words, that is going to be a lot of points deducted. Why? Because it tells the people of the exam that maybe you didn't understand the instructions. So if you didn't understand, that's one of the reasons that your score might be lower. Maybe the essay that you wrote is very good, but because of that one word, it's going to lower your score. Yes. But then if we go the other way around, and let's say that the exam says 255 words is the maximum, and you do 256, again, it's telling them that you didn't understand the instructions, so it's going to lower your score. So just try to be as concrete as possible, and inside of that range between the range of the words that they're asking for. Yes, if it's 300, not 299 and not 301. It has to be 300 words.
Great. And what English website do you recommend to practice for the exam?
What in the presentation that I'm sending you guys, there are many links that you can use that are free. That's one of the most important parts that are free and that you can practice and that you can look at. Yes, I'm adding links to so you guys can see how to what questions are going to be asked for the writing section, what questions or prompts that are going to be used for the speaking. But that doesn't mean that these same prompts are going to be used on the exam. No, 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 no. They're only examples, okay? But like I said, the more that you practice, the better that you are going to get, yes? So it's like riding a bicycle. The more that you do it, the better that you're going to be able to do it.
Okay, and I guess this is the last question I have, but we still are waiting for Facebook. How difficult is to achieve a 100 score?
How difficult is it to achieve a 100 score? Remember that the maximum in the iBT is 120 points, yes? So what does that mean? That means that you need to be able to read very well academic readings, that when you're speaking, that you're speaking in an academic level, that when you're writing, that your essays are in an academic level. Now, you might laugh, but what is one of the best resources for reading? And you might say, no, that's not true. Comic books. Comic books are one of the best resources for reading. And you might say, no, sorry to tell you, but comic books are at a university level language, yes? If you look at Doctor Strange, if you look at Fantastic Four, they're talking about quantum physics, fourth dimension, the fifth dimension, and the vocabulary that they're using there is very high, yes? And like I said before, also look for articles in the newspapers and things like that that you can use. So how are you going to get 100 points? Basically by using the tips and the resources that are in this PowerPoint presentation. And I'm going to repeat it one more time. The more that you practice, the better that you are going to get. But this is not only practicing for the exam. It's not like when we were in high school or in junior high, where the tomorrow you have the math exam and you're, oh my God, I'm going to read. No, you took the exam and then on Monday, poof, everything went away. No. Remember, everything that you are going to practice, that you're going to learn, this is going to help you with your future studies. So when you're in the university, why is it good to read academic readings? Because in the university, you're going to be using them. Why is it good to write academic essays? Because when you're in the university, you're going to be using them. Why is it good to speak using academic terms or conjunctions or connectors or something else? No, because in the university, you're going to be using them. So it's not something that you are going to just use for one moment in the exam. It's something that you're going to use for the exam and beyond. So I think that that's the best way to look at the exam. Not just, oh, I'm preparing myself for the exam. No, I'm preparing myself for the exam and for the university.
Thank you, Luis. That's all my side, Anna. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Luis, those were really, really good tips and advisors. So guys, thank you very much for tuning. And if you have any questions, you can send them to our email address, mexico@educationusa.org. And please be in touch, and also check our social media, because there is where we post all of our next events. Jenny's gonna share with you some of the links. She's gonna share the link to our blog, which is bit.ly educationusa/mx. There you can find resources for absolutely anything that you need. For example, for the TOEFL, for standardized tests, for writing essays, letters of recommendations, and more. And for our next events, we will have next week on July 6th at 12 p.m. Mexico City time, we'll have the GRE webinar. For those of you wanting to study a graduate degree, a master, or a PhD, please tune this webinar next week. The next session will be July 14 for those of you wanting to know more about how to contact professors and researchers for those of you studying a graduate degree. This session is on July 14 at 5:30 p.m. And finally, July 15, for those of you that are thinking on studying a undergraduate degree, a bachelor's, July 15 at 11:30, we'll have the Common App webinar. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Luis.